Hey guys, it's Jasmine and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a birthday card using Gerda Steiner Designs Moody unicorns, and we're going to make our own pattern paper essentially. I'm using some watercolors, some Versamark, Lindy's Stamp Gang Silver Orchid Moon embossing powder. It's a really pretty embossing powder with a silver and purple shift to it. I love Lindy's embossing powders. They are all gorgeous and they're all two-toned. So they give you a really nice pop when you use them. So I've got some watercolor paper, Canson XL 140 pound is what I'm using with my Misty. And we're going to stamp the unicorns, and there's a little cupcake and a little gift present box image in there. We're going to go do them kind of randomly. And there's 3 different unicorns in this stamp set, and they're really cute. One's got a big smile, one's got a little angry face to him, and they're just a lot of fun. So I filled my paper, and then I'm using the smaller stamp images to kind of fill in the background. So that present and a little cupcake. And it's easier to use the tiny images with a little acrylic block versus the Misty, just because you're not constantly having to pick it up and move it and pick it up and move it. It's just easier. So I've got those images stamped, and we're going to heat emboss those. And you want to be careful when you're doing just these little images so you don't overheat the images that are already embossed. So you kind of want to get your gun good and hot and then apply your heat. So there's our image, or our panel. And then just take a big soft brush and kind of brush off any excess powder that might still be lingering down there. And we're going to tape this down to a cutting mat. And I like to kind of fit it into the straight lines that are already printed on my mat, but you don't have to at all. And this is a 4.5 by 6 inch panel. So I will be cutting it down. I'm going to do that using a die. But for the watercolors, we're going to use the Gonzai Tambi 36 palette. And you can use any watercolors for this. This is a really loose style. And I've got a big brush, and I'm going to cover it completely with water. So we're going to do a wet on wet technique. And this just makes it easier to blend your colors. And the more water you add to your colors, the paler they'll be. So I've got a really bright turquoise blue on this at first, and then I just, I wanted a paler background because I want my white unicorns to kind of stand out. And I took a paper towel and just dabbed up the color that was on the unicorns themselves to kind of get that white back. And if it starts to dry on you, just add a little bit more water and you can still pick up the color fairly easily. Now if this has been dry for a few days, that's not the case, but if it's freshly applied and not dry yet, you can pick up the color fairly easily. So I'm going to go in with a fine tech palette. These are kind of mother of pearl type colors. They're really pale and they're more of a topper. So if you apply them just by themselves, they're not going to give you a lot of color. They're just going to give you a bit of a shift in the light. So I added these to my unicorns to make them kind of pearlescent. And then I'm using a kind of a creamy teal color in this palette to paint the unicorn's hair. And this is a really loose style, so you can have a lot of fun with it. And you can be specific, or you can really make it loose and free. And that's what I like about watercolors, is you can kind of do your own thing with them. There's nothing too specific if you don't want it to be specific or exact. So I'm using a darker purple to color the hooves of the unicorns, and if you have a hard time seeing the lines after you've stamped them, because this is a silver embossing powder, it's not black, so it can be a little bit difficult to see the lines, just go back and refer to your stamped images, the packaging, and that will kind of show you where the lines are supposed to be, so you can kind of fill it in. And I was going to use that bright blue on the horns, but I decided that I wanted to use a gold instead. And I do go back over these horns a few times with the gold, just to make it a little more opaque and a little stronger. And then I've got a pink that I'm using for the little gift boxes. And if it's not as strong as you'd like it the first time, paint everything, let it dry, and then go back in and add another layer of color, and that will deepen it and make it stronger. And I'm using an orange for the little cupcakes. And by using the different colors, it kind of gives it a little more of a rainbow type of feel to it, without being a specific rainbow. But I wanted this to be really bright and punchy and happy, because unicorns make me happy. And they're fun and they're whimsical, so why not add a lot of color? So this is all dry, and when watercolors dry, they do dry back a bit, so they won't be quite as intense as when they're wet. And so I've run that through my die cutting machine using MFT Wonky Stitches die. Avery L also makes a Wonky Stitches die, and I have both, and they're pretty much identical, so you can use either one. And then I've used some gold glitter paper as a mat, and I've run that through my die cutting machine using a stitched rectangle die. And then I've put score tape around the edges of both panels, and then put repositional adhesive in the middle to help me position it properly so that all the edges are straight and lined up. And then that kind of anchors it so you can remove the backing paper, so it'd be a more permanent adhesion. And then these two Happy Birthday to You is a die. And I've cut it out of two different kinds of paper because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted, but I went with the purple foil, which is Die Cuts with a View foil stack. And that die is from Simon Says Stamp. And so it actually, long ways is a little tiny bit longer than 4 1/4. So I just position it in the middle, and then I snip off the little, not even 1/4 of an inch ends, just to make it fit. So sorry I'm out of frame there. But just add a little bit of Tombow Monte Multi in tiny little dots to the back. And adhere that down, and that finishes the card. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you think. If you have any struggles with watercolors, hopefully I can help. Leave those in the comments, and I'm happy to interact with you guys. I love that part. So thanks for everything. We will catch you next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.